killer!
What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? Wrath2501 here. Alright, with the Warhammer part of Double Feature Friday. Alright, this one is one I was really excited for, okay? Because this one is why Rogal Dorn is completely incorruptible. Warhammer 40k lore. And this is by Major Kill. And this one I really want to do. See, normally I would have done the next episode of Text-to-Speech, which is the last episode of Text-to-Speech, but I really don't feel like having two things ended that I really love in 1 week. But this one I was told by one of you guys, fan, who told me that this episode features the same voice actor who does the voice of Lord Adornable from Text-to-Speech. So I was like, yes, I must do this. All right, so here we go. Why Rogal Dorn is completely incorruptible. Warhammer 40k lore. Alright, so let's go.
Gal, everyone likes Rogal Dorn.
Yes.
Thank you, Major. You are too kind.
Jesus Christ! How did you get in here?
Your fortifications are lacking, Major. I have already created a numbered list to help correct this.
My fortifications are word doesn't matter. What does matter is that everyone loves Primarchs and everyone loves Rogal.
Yes.
Slap the two together and you get a recipe for success.
Success is not edible and cannot be formulated with a recipe.
Doing this again,
Technically,
are we?
he's wrong about that.
Rogal Dorn is godly enough to hold terror
About
against
it being
overwhelming
formulated by
numbers
recipe.
and impossible odds, yet human enough that he sleeps with his grandfather's blanket every night. Throughout it all, one thing became clear. First and foremost, amongst his brothers, Rogal Dorn was completely and utterly incapable of falling to chaos. He is incorruptible to the point where the warp buckles and ceases in his presence. He can literally bend hell using his Indomitable Will.
Hell is not a material object. It cannot be bent.
Look, Rogal, if people's sexual orientation can be bent, so can hell.
No.
Today we'll go over why Rogal is so incorruptible and indomitable, highlighting moments where he spanned Chaos's face and made them rule the day that the Praetorian of Terror was created. Let's get into it. Rogal was off to a good start, in the fact that he had a positive male role model when he grew up.
Yes. My grandfather. A brilliant man who introduced me to fun activities, such as engineering and architecture.
Each to their own, I guess.
Yes.
As such, Rogal Dorn escaped the devastating affliction which was the main cause of Chaos's ability to lay so many Primarchs low. I am of course talking about daddy issues. Daddy issues create a hole in one's soul that cries to be filled out. For girls, this manifests as teen pregnancies. For guys, this manifests as becoming demon Primarchs. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's
Whilst Rogal
actually
did not
quite
have the
accurate.
magic of Magnus or the hide-and-seek skills of Corvus, he still had his own cheeky abilities, including not being able to lie and being wildly good at Lego building, with just some examples. Now, whilst these abilities seem comparatively shit compared to Sanguinius's wings or Conrad's foresight, they allowed him to tread a path that tore through deception and temptation. If you cannot lie to others, you cannot lie to yourself, and it was often the lies to oneself that allowed chaos to creep into their rectal orifice.
That is not how chaos corruption works. Only Slanesh takes interest in one's posterior, and that is well after they have already fallen.
Dude, can I use any metaphor with you?
No.
Well, I'm going to keep doing it anyway for comedic value.
Yes.
The real test of one's ability to not pledge their soul to the forces of hell came when Horus unveiled the fact that he was a jealous douchebag, and he declared jihad on the Emperor. Some of the Primarchs passed this test with flying colours, such as the Lion, who genuinely made Chaos enter into an awkward silence when they read his soul and try to come up with something that might sway him, and others barely pass, like Sanguinius, who nearly allowed himself to get possessed by a fucking demon because maybe it would prevent his sons from becoming edgy space vampires. All of them had their test, all except Rogal. Chaos didn't even bother trying to turn Rogal to Chaos, as it would just be a waste of time and likely a waste of demon lives.
Pretty much.
As soon as news of Horus's tomfoolery emerged, Rogal immediately sprung into action, preparing loyalist defenses as well as counterattacks. He vowed
Setting
he
up
would see every
fortifications.
single traitor dead or die trying. There was no, oh man, but I really liked Lorgar. A, because Rogal is a hard motherfucker and sees the world in a very black and white way, and B, nobody likes Lorgar.
Well, it is true that Lorgar is indeed liked by nobody. My vision is incredibly good. and is not limited to only black and white. In fact, I can see far beyond the human spectrum.
Do you like
Wow,
building
really?
thick walls because they remind you of yourself?
I am not a...
You know what? Don't answer that. Another ability of Rogal's that begun to manifest, which made the impossible task of turning him to chaos even more impossibly-er, because that's a word, was Rogal's
Impossibly-er?
aforementioned ability to bend and silence the warp. The dude's willpower is so legendary that the tide of thoughts and emotions that surrounds all living things is genuinely repelled by Rogal.
Wow.
And trying to corrupt him via a chaos wound, like what Horus got, would likely do nothing as the warp stuff in the blade would recoil from his presence, and something like the layer blade would scream in pain from being in his grasp. Not that he would grab it in the first place, because he's not a retard, but you know what I mean.
Fulgrim's corruption by the layer blade was by far the dumbest of all my traitorous brother's falls, even including Mortarian's transfiguration into a smelly moth.
Okay, so Chaos can't lie to him or
Damn.
deceive him, and it can't corrupt him via wounds or artifacts. Can it make him join them from his own free will? Maybe by giving him a charismatic speech? Absolutely fucking not. The reason being that Rogal doesn't want to listen to bad guy monologues or have conversations with them. When he was fighting,
He's too literal. He
Alpharius
would
kept trying to chat
he would
him
give
in
Siege
battle and convince
freaking
Rogal of his
migraine.
cause, but Rogal just ignored him, and when the opening presented itself, murdered the ever-living shit out of Alpharius in an extremely hectic Mortal Kombat-esque fatality.
Nice.
There was no goading or yelling as Alpharius lay dying. He literally killed the dude in under 2 seconds from when he began his finishing move. A similar situation emerged with Fulgrim. Fulgrim loves monologuing, and it only got worse when he got turned into a rapey snake. Yet when he fought Rogal, Rogal just kicked the shit out of him whilst remaining mostly silent. One of the only things
There
he
you
said
go.
was
That's
that he
awesome.
was really good at sword fighting, which, you know, is a good call considering he won the fight. Even when Fulgrim lied and was like, "Turn around and look, Dorn. The wall has fallen. You have lost." All Rogal replied with was,
No.
No.
even if Chaos got a word in, what would they say? Hey man,
Nice.
we'll let you build shit. Dawn already builds whatever he wants. Hey man,
True.
we love fisting. Dawn isn't into that kind of fisting. The one thing that Dawn wants, Chaos definitely can't give him. And that is to settle down and build wondrous works of
Order.
art. Buildings that don't require reinforcement against missiles and cities that aren't made to withstand demonic invasions. Pure art for the betterment of humanity. Basically, Dawn wants a galaxy without war. As war is one of the pillars of chaos, as well as the fact that Chaos's version of art is extremely questionable, they cannot
indeed.
provide Dawn with these things, hence there is absolutely nothing for him to gain. So what about his sons? The Imperial Fists? Do they fall to Chaos?
Fisting.
Well, yeah, they have. After all, there have been Ultramarines who have become Cornite Berserkers, so literally any Space Marine can fall.
This is foolishness, Major. My sons have never had any of their ranks fall to chaos. Except that one time we don't talk about.
One time.
Because it never happened.
I mean, it did happen, Rogal, and we're gonna talk about it.
I will end your life violently.
Yeah, get in line. Whilst the vast
Get in
majority of
line.
the Imperial Fists and their successors have never had a moment of heresy, especially the Black Templars who will literally weaponize autism incarnate, there has
Autism.
been an incident. No, I'm not talking about the Soul Drinkers because they technically aren't Imperial Fist successors. I'm talking about the Fists Exemplar. The War of the Beast was a shit time for the Imperial Fists. The chapter was more or less destroyed, and they had their first little bit of heresy. Basically, the Fists Exemplar found themselves in contact with the Iron Warriors. And were obviously ready to bust the cap in their ass. Unfortunately, the Beast forces were coming, and if the Iron Warriors and Exemplars fought, then whoever won would easily get shat on by the Orcs.
Yeah.
As such, they teamed up to beat the Orcs. From a practical standpoint, this is fair enough.
Yeah.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. However, when has Warhammer ever been practical? The Fist Exemplar were like, okay, yeah, you guys are traitorous dogs, but out of honor, we will let you leave without violence. But then some Black Templars arrived, and they were really not cool about that arrangement. Now, I understand the Exemplar's point of view, but when you're dealing with the Templars, you either agree with them or you fight them. The Exemplars chose to fight the Templars and then escape with the Iron Warriors to become best friends forever. So they didn't fall to chaos per se, or at least not initially. It also wasn't the entire chapter, more like 200 Marines or so. But upon hearing this, the chapter master of the Fist Exemplar, who wasn't there, was so embarrassed and furious that some of his sons would do this that he disbanded his chapter and destroyed all of their history. All their records and artifacts were destroyed, and the chapter master vowed to kill anyone who ever muttered his chapter's name in his presence. If anything, this kind of lends more weight to the Imperial Fist and by extension Rogal Dorn's claim to incorruptibility. Their only significant heresy was due to them being honourable, and instead of trying to salvage their chapter or restore their honour, their chapter master just pulled the plug, and made all of his staff redundant without pay. Whilst that might seem like a shit idea, and the chapter easily redeemable, it's a grey area that Chaos loves to grow in. Black and white is the bane of Chaos. Decisiveness is the bane of Chaos. Committing to one course of action is the bane of Chaos. Chaos likes chaos. It likes indecision and doubt. In their quest to redeem themselves, it's likely the Fist's Exemplar would just open themselves up more to chaos. I mean, they had already been marked as heretical over their willingness to throw down with the Black Templars in order to protect the Iron Warriors, and now there would be a chapter of whiny fucks who are desperate to prove something. But that shit got shut down, so no worries, brother. Rogal's apparent death in the current setting...
I am not dead.
Apparent death...
I am not dead.
...was a tragedy.
There you
the
go.
only way Chaos could ever hope to remove him from play. There was no blade, no spell, no word, nor no promise that could even momentarily make Dorn consider Chaos. After all, the warmth from a grandfather's blanket will always be greater than all the fires of hell. And that does us for today, guys. Huge thank you for Rogal for breaking into my house and waiting until the end of the video to bludgeon me to death for talking about the Fist Exemplar.
Your suffering will be legendary.
If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, then pay...
Okay, so gonna have to get rid of his other stuff. He puts this advertisements for Warhammer hentai that he makes. You'll have to go to his channel if you want to look into that shit. So, because I don't do that. I don't do that here. Okay, so that was why Rogal Dorn is completely incorruptible. I like that. It was nice to have Lord Adornable on the channel here. That was great. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Share on social media. Help this channel reach that our goal of 100,000 by the end of the year, guys. We can do it. I know we can. So, until next time, guys, tune in every day for new content. Bye-bye.